The Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer has finally been released. Firstly, I have to say that it feels a bit too small of a gap to release a trailer before the movie's release, and I also felt that way with the second Sonic movie and this year's Kung Fu Panda 4. I just miss when movies had trailers ranging from 6 months to even a year before the film got released. Not helping was that Disney's Mufasa, which comes out the same day as Sonic 3, had 2 full trailers before Sonic did. But enough with that tangent. So just a heads up, there's no trailer reaction this time because the trailer came out when I was in class and I watched it when I was able to at that time. So I'll just give you my review/analysis of the trailer along with my expectations for the movie itself. In case you viewers don't know what my feelings are toward the previous Sonic movies, I enjoy them. Sure, they may not be what I would make if I were doing a Sonic movie, but they managed to be fun family popcorn flicks with a good amount of heart. The first film is an enjoyable take on the CGI character interacting with live-action humans genre of movies. The second film included more Sonic aspects that I do find to be welcome additions, from the addition of Tails and Knuckles to showcasing more action scenes that you'd expect from this franchise. And the Knuckles series, while the weakest project in this universe so far due to how it sidelines Knuckles for a sizable amount in favor of Wade, was backed up by having some funny character interactions, good fight scenes, and the wonderfully weird musical number in episode 4. Just for context, I have grown up playing Sonic games since I was 6 or 7, even though it wasn't the first Sega franchise I fell in love with. So far, the Paramount Sonic movie universe has shown that it isn't aiming to be a straightforward adaptation of Sonic's game canon, instead going in its own direction by making Sonic an adopted child to a human couple. However, he is still a fast blue hedgehog who likes to help people and stop Robotnik from taking over the world. The stories take some influence from the games, like Sonic 2 and 3 being mixed for the second movie and the Knuckles show featuring the Flames of Disaster from Sonic 06. Now we have the third movie, which is taking inspiration from Sonic Adventure 2 but isn't a one-to-one retelling of that game's story. After seeing the trailer, I must say it is much better than I expected. This feels the most like a true Sonic the Hedgehog movie given how it adapts Shadow's story from Sonic Adventure 2, and using that game is fitting for this franchise because it has more human interactions with Sonic and his friends than the classic games. It doesn't look like there will be a random subplot involving one of the original human characters too, so that's a plus. I even like how Tom seems like an important part of Shadow's story. The fact that there will be a team up of Team Sonic and Robotnik has tons of potential comedically, as it was done before in Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Advance 3, and Sonic Lost World. The visuals are noticeably upgraded from the previous movies. The lighting and colors look more cinematic than before, and any shot with Shadow goes insanely hard. Like, they nailed his style and attitude perfectly in this trailer alone, such as when he breaks out of his tube and when he's doing the traditional Akira reference. The acting seems mostly good so far, from the returning cast members like Ben Schwartz and James Marsden to the new cast member, Keanu Reeves as Shadow, a callback to Sonic's approval of the beloved actor in the first movie.
Yes, Keanu! You are a national treasure.
Yeah, he's using his normal voice when voicing Shadow, but his voice fits nicely with the character in my opinion.
You're a colorful bunch. When we're done, there won't be anything left. What I had to.
Voice acting is not just about changing your voice, and it's not typically the actor's choice on what voice they will use. Keanu was probably told to talk like he usually talks, and that was that. He showed before that he could put on a different voice in the DC League of Super Pets movie from 2 years ago.
That better be a licensed toy or I will freak out.
But I think his normal voice isn't unfitting coming out of this character. I will say that his voice reveal in this trailer is nowhere near as hype as the first line we hear from Idris Elba as Knuckles in the second movie's trailer.
You're a colorful bunch.
Do I look like I need your power?
The return of Jim Carrey in Sonic 3 is a welcome one, as he was very entertaining as Robotnik in the previous 2 movies. The Sonic movies are also notable for being the first time Jim Carrey played a character more than twice, which is typically the limit as shown by his performances in 2 Ace Ventura and 2 Dumb and Dumber movies. Normally, Jim Carrey finds doing sequels to movies he previously starred in to be mostly unchallenging, so it's great that Sonic allowed him to have both challenge and fun to keep returning for more. His take on Dr. Ivo Robotnik required him to be goofy like his classic comedy roles, but he also needed to behave like an evil maniacal genius with a high IQ. The second movie had him looking more like Robotnik in the games, and now in this third movie, he is going to play another character, his grandfather Gerald Robotnik, at the same time. This type of dual acting is impressive to me, and it reminds me of what Freddie Highmore did in the Spiderwick Chronicles, and Eddie Murphy in Norbit. I am still a bit doubtful if Jim Carrey will agree to do another Sonic movie, because he may not be as satisfied with the script unless it offers him something unique. If Paramount wants to build a whole cinematic universe, There are other Sonic characters they can use to fill the villain role, but I think audiences will not be as interested in one that isn't Robotnik. On the subject of other Sonic characters, while I don't have high hopes that either Amy or Rouge will be in Sonic 3, I gotta say that a few shots do make it seem like they're hiding something. It would be like No Way Home again, where the other versions of Peter Parker are not shown in the advertising and it's pretty obvious if you look closely. While some could argue that Amy and or Rouge would overstuff the movie, I think there are ways you can include them without having them feel sidelined like Tails was for a chunk of the second movie. Rouge could easily be an undercover agent working for Gunn, and Amy could be another being from Sonic's homeworld who comes to Earth to help after learning of his heroism. But I also want to keep my expectations in check, because this is still a live-action CG hybrid, and I don't think the studio wants to add more CG characters unless they absolutely serve a natural point to the story. It won't be a deal breaker for me if neither of them appears in this movie, because it's clear that they could show up in a future Sonic movie project. As for Easter eggs, the biggest one for me is seeing the Chows from the games in the scene where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are sitting with the General at the diner in Tokyo. Given this and the Chow Easter egg in the last movie, I doubt we would see actual Chows in the movie universe like how they are in the games. Makes me wonder how they'd introduce Cream the Rabbit if she doesn't have Cheese by her side. What I'm expecting is that Cheese would be a Tamagotchi in this universe. I also noticed that Knuckles uses the Flames of Disaster when he is gliding, which were both introduced to his character in the Knuckles show. Considering that the head of Paramount said the third Sonic movie would contain loads of Easter eggs from the Knuckles series, I wonder what other references I will point at and say, oh, that's the thing from the Knuckles show. One last callback worth mentioning is Shadow running in a hamster wheel-like machine, which causes a huge blackout in Tokyo. This looks like a direct reference to the blackout Sonic caused in the first movie by running around the bases in a baseball field, which was so big it reached other planets. This is an effective way to show how Shadow looks like Sonic and does similar things as Sonic, but he's much less lighthearted and optimistic than Sonic, so seeing them fight each other before Shadow likely realizes that he can be the good guy could be a powerful moment in this movie universe. One worry I have with this movie so far is the action. They look really fun and exciting here, especially the moment when Shadow and Sonic jump to attack each other, but one problem the other two films and the Knuckles show had was that the action was mostly shown in the marketing to the point that it left the final projects not having many action surprises once you see them. The action scenes tend to also be shorter than they should have been, like the world chase scene in the first Sonic movie and the temple fight between Sonic and Knuckles in the sequel. I hope we get a sizable amount of action in the third movie that isn't displayed in the marketing. The other worry of mine is the music. The first two movies were criticized for not including much Sonic music, or at least music that would fit in a Sonic game. The issue was also more apparent after the Mario movie incorporated Mario music into the score, even with the movie's use of licensed songs. So far, we only had the Sonic Mania intro theme, a piano rendition of Green Hill Zone, a normal version of the Green Hill theme as a ringtone, a small bit of the Drowning theme in the second movie, and that's it. The second film had a title announcement video with a remix of Emerald Hill's theme, but it wasn't in the movie at all. The Crush 40 vocalist Johnny Gioli did reveal that the iconic song Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2 would be featured in the film, which could go incredibly hard if they actually use it with the lyrics. We do get an epic remix of that song in this trailer. I am expecting Junkie XL to just create another mostly unmemorable movie soundtrack, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if we get an improved score in this one. Also, as someone who hasn't fully completed Sonic Adventure 2 or played the Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off game, which are both on my bucket list by the way, I am hopeful that this movie is going to handle the dark story of Maria Robotnik and how that affects Shadow emotionally. Shadow doesn't seem like the kind of character that would unintentionally make jokes like Knuckles before he teams up with Sonic in Sonic 2. So I think that's a good sign that they'll take his story seriously when it needs to be. Jeff Fowler did work on the cutscenes of Shadow's game, and he seems very passionate about the Edgy Hedgehog, so I think it's in good hands. In particular, I really like how they showcase Shadow's strength and power by having him twist Knuckles' wrist, which is possibly the biggest meme to spawn from this trailer. To wrap it up, Sonic 3 is one of the remaining movies of 2024 that I am highly anticipated for. It showcases a promising story, great visual effects, and funny moments that will hopefully not clash hard with the darker story elements. I am easily more excited for this one than I am for Mufasa. Despite the short amount of time to advertise this movie, I see this becoming popular with kids and families out of the gate during the holiday season and becoming the biggest movie in the Sonic film universe. As for the future of the series, I am a bit split honestly. As much as I've enjoyed these projects so far, I think being built on a live action formula could bite the studio in the butt later. The Sonic universe from the games is a very cartoony one, so I think they would have to keep budgets high enough to bring in more Sonic characters and lore which would keep fans happy without turning off the ones who are new to the franchise. I expected Sonic 3 to be the final film in the series before it switches to an animated format as a replacement. I could still see an animated film franchise of Sonic coexisting with the live action universe like Spider-Man, TMNT, Transformers, and possibly Barbie, but the current movie universe is likely Sonic's main big screen thing we're going to be seeing in the following years. But hey, as long as they keep making each new project fresh while also listening to criticisms from projects like Knuckles the same way they altered the original movie Sonic design, then Sonic fans like myself could be in for some good dinner. So what did you guys think of the trailer? Let me know in the comments below, as well as what you hope to see in Sonic 3 and the rest of the Sonic film universe. Thank you all for watching, and just remember one thing: you can't handle the flames of disaster!
Countdown! Care Bears, prepare to stare!
You're a colorful bunch.
3, 2, 1, Care Bear, stare!
Hey Sega, when are you gonna make that Super Monkey Ball movie that we have all been really waiting for?